What's up, guys? Yeah, don't you son. We don't got my cousin right here. Say hello.
Hank,
Be reacting to some Godzilla versus. Okay.
Today, legendary Godzilla has set its sights on Toothless and has determined that today is this Night Fury's last day on Earth. But how will Toothless deal with this threat? Today on Goji Center, we will review all the abilities and strategies that this Night Fury will have to rely on if he is to survive an encounter with legendary Godzilla. This won't be easy. As we review all the abilities Godzilla brings to this pursuit, we will quickly find out that this encounter will be nothing short of devastating. So sit back, hit that subscribe button, and hold on tight as we travel with both Godzilla and Toothless around the world to see if this Night Fury can survive an encounter with the G-Man. As mentioned already, Godzilla is already determined to kill this fella. But why? Let's go back in time.
Comments who they can both win. G-Man or Sully, who's your pick?
what do you pick first?
Yeah, pick first.
No, you pick.
No.
I'm picking whatever you pick.
I think Godzilla.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think Toothless might have a chance
Yeah.
because he's kind of slow, just kind of, and Toothless can fly, but he can't. So he could dodge the lasers.
So who do you think it would have?
I think Godzilla, probably.
Okay, we both picked Godzilla, so let me know in the comments who you think would win. And click the little button if you want to see more reaction videos with my cousin, baby.
To see why this encounter is happening in the first place. In this scenario, we are putting these animals in an alternate universe where both of these creatures reside on the same planet, and all of their abilities and weapons are just as powerful as they are in their respective cinematic universes. This also includes their philosophies. Knowing this, we now need to turn over to Godzilla, who will most likely be the one instigating this fight. Why? Let us explain. In the Monsterverse, the hierarchy of Titans is topped by a single specimen who holds the title of Alpha Titan. This individual up here can basically call all the Titans to do its bidding and demand submission and obedience. This doesn't stop here. Godzilla himself can at times show signs of being a little arrogant and proud. He knows he's a badass and now expects everyone else to be his subordinates. Now, enter this Night Fury, who is currently an alpha in his current universe. But in Godzilla's mind, there can only be one. This is where we have our conflict. We also have to mention the matter of this Night Fury's size.
Are you thinking of selling your San Diego home, but you want to know the perfect time to do so? Then watch this video.
While not as large as a titan such as Behemoth, Kong, or Scylla, this dragon does have the weapons necessary to fend off some titan-sized creatures, placing him a little higher in the hierarchy of powerful creatures on the planet. Enough to gain Godzilla's attention. So in this hypothetical story, Godzilla looks out for this said alpha to once again make it clear that he's the alpha. Upon meeting Toothless, Godzilla will expect him to bow. But will he? Maybe, but this is a what-if scenario, so anything goes. Here, the G-Man will appear intimidating with his blue hue and communicate to the Night Fury that he now needs to submit or face consequences. Upon facing such odds, the Night Fury can do two things: bow or challenge. If he bows, then all is solved. He can continue on living his life. But for the purposes of this video, we'll cover a scenario where this Night Fury will take its chances and bet on his abilities to try to defeat Godzilla, since this isn't the first time he's faced larger monsters. And now, Toothless's biology allows him to initiate something known as Alpha Mode, a phenomenon in which parts of his upper body...
Okay, Sully is changing something.
Okay, yeah, 150 years. Yeah, because he might have a chance.
body glow blue as a challenging display to another alpha. This in turn infuriates Godzilla, and now he decides that this dragon must die. Godzilla quickly charges up his atomic breath. The Night Fury knows what's coming and now leverages all of his abilities to evade any atomic blast Godzilla shoots at him. This fight has now begun. To try to survive this encounter, this Night Fury will have to rely on flying speeds that can surpass the sound barrier, well-placed plasma blasts in critical areas, cloaking abilities, and most importantly, his common sense. Godzilla, on the other hand, doesn't have much to worry about in terms of corporal safety. Having tanked nukes to the face, drops from high altitudes, and serious beatings, there's not much this Night Fury could do to inflict one critical hit with a plasma blast. So right away, this isn't a question of can the Night Fury survive this, but rather, how long can he survive for? Let's find out. Part 1, the first skirmish. Because this dragon will most definitely be airborne during a confrontation against the G-Man, this means that the use of melee weapons will now be obsolete. This fight will most likely only witness pure firepower. But this poses a problem for Godzilla. How on earth do you accurately hit a tiny menace with a narrow atomic stream of fire? Once witnessing the first blast of atomic breath, a smart creature like Toothless would quickly realize that a single whiff of this blast is enough to turn it to ashes. And the further away he is from Godzilla, the better. Being closer to the G-Man allows him to have higher chances of hitting it, whereas being at a longer distance, Godzilla will have a lot less chances of landing a hit. This in turn only means that in a land confrontation, Toothless would most likely resort to something called dive bombing, which is the act of flying vertically down from high altitudes, times breaching the sound barrier, and culminate this attack with a supercharged plasma blast. This, if aimed at the right spots, could turn into a serious nuisance. A shot to the gills, for instance, will most likely make Godzilla start to think now, since there's nothing much he can do other than waste his atomic breath trying to hit an extremely small moving target, similar to you trying to shoot a very fast fly with a super soaker from a distance. In this scenario, Toothless has developed a strategy to continue bombarding Godzilla at range, leveraging his speeds to avoid a direct hit by the atomic breath. Is his cloaking ability needed? Not really, especially since his vast speeds already make him almost untouchable. Not to mention the fact that the use of this consumes a lot of energy. So, as you can imagine, Godzilla is now pissed. But something is different now. After a good number of consecutive dive bombs, the G-Man noticed that the Night Fury has now retreated, but not for long. Part 2, the pursuit. So why did the Night Fury retreat for now? Well, it is because of something known as his shot limit. Night Furies don't have an infinite amount of blasts that they can fire. This is said to be 6 shots, but this Night Fury in particular can hit higher numbers, somewhere in the range of 14 to 15 consecutive shots, especially during alpha mode. Perhaps more, but definitely enough to piss Godzilla off. After several shots, this Night Fury will now rest at a nearby location for enough time to cool down and recharge, while knowing of the G-Man's whereabouts. Yes, this guy is now determined to win. But so is Godzilla. But he's not just gonna sit there with his arms crossed, waiting for the Night Fury to come back. He's going after it, turning this battle into a pursuit. Now, it is important to note that Godzilla has the ability to detect other nearby Titans and other active alphas. Using this ability, Godzilla will now follow this Night Fury relentlessly. The Night Fury, on the other hand, would constantly keep his distance as soon as he hears Godzilla approaching, since this guy has excellent senses. But after some time, the Night Fury will have recharged his plasma blasts and repeat this process again.
Remember to make sure and like and subscribe the video.
You hear that? You hear that? You hear that?
You gotta do it.
Yeah, so make sure to like and subscribe.
And dive bombing, hitting Godzilla from all directions. Except that by this point, it's likely that the Night Fury might have picked up at Godzilla's most vulnerable parts, his gills. It would only take 2 to 3 shots in this area for Toothless to pick up on Godzilla's painful groan after these impacts, meaning that the third time that he attacks Godzilla, all shots will be aimed here. Remember, this guy is smart, so literally any advantage he detects, he will exploit. But he isn't the only one figuring something out. Godzilla now realizes that these shots are hitting his gills a little more frequently. So apart from this pursuit being arduous and annoying, it's now becoming painful. So his next move is to shift the battlefield to a place where the Night Fury's abilities will become obsolete. Water. At this point, Godzilla stops following the Night Fury and now lets this dragon come to him.
There. It's true. J.R. Ewing made me rich.
Really?
Part 3, the final encounter. In the past, Godzilla has resorted to fighting in the ocean when facing flying titans. Fighting on the ground only limits him to one axis, while allowing the flying creature to basically have infinite maneuverability above him, putting him at a disadvantage. Fighting in the ocean is different. While it is true that the flying opponent still has infinite maneuverability on the surface, one mistake such as flying too close to the water surface can spell doom for this creature. Down here, both Godzilla and his opponent have said infinite maneuverability, but Godzilla now would have the edge. In Ghidorah's case, Godzilla was able to bring him down because he was flying too low. But what about the Night Fury? It's not like it's going to fly low the whole time. In this fight, it would only do this at each culmination of a dive bomb. So what's his plan? Let's find out. Godzilla allows himself to be found by the challenging Night Fury, who, by the way, has its sights set on Godzilla's gills. But this time, Godzilla has a little surprise waiting. As he detects the Night Fury approaching, the G-Man will now position himself with part of his body on the surface to give the Night Fury a reason to fly low enough to shoot at his gills. As the Night Fury dive bombs, the G-Man now swims up, activates his atomic breath, and with its colossal body creates a water splash so powerful that the Night Fury finds himself in the middle of a giant watery splash intended to bring him underwater. A smart animal like this Night Fury would quickly figure out what Godzilla's trying to do, so now he'll be more careful. After this failed attempt, Godzilla now swims close to the surface, receiving shots on his dorsals close to his gills. It is now when Godzilla lifts his massive tail, carrying so much water with it that it manages to disorient this Night Fury, slowing him down just enough for Godzilla to almost hit it with his atomic blast. He missed, but now the Night Fury is heading straight into Godzilla territory. Now, the next obvious question, can this guy even swim? Yes, he can actually, and he's good at it. But one thing to consider here is that this guy's speed underwater will decrease exponentially, putting him at the same level as Godzilla or below, meaning that it will be many times more difficult to dodge an atomic attack, and Godzilla knows this. Godzilla turns around and begins to charge his atomic breath again, but Toothless quickly fires his plasma blast underwater. Yes, they can do this, and distract Godzilla for enough time for him to reach the surface and begin to fly away. There is not much time left for this Night Fury. It's imperative for this guy to once again fly fast so that he may avoid the atomic blast. But it's too late. Unfortunately for this Night Fury, its flying speed coming out of the water was not fast enough to evade a robust atomic beam from Godzilla at a short distance. To be more realistic here, this was just a matter of time. Admittedly, this could have also eventually happened on land with one lucky shot from Godzilla. Except in this scenario, the G-Man chose the playing ground where this would have had more likelihood of happening. But realistically, would this fight even happen? Probably not. Upon witnessing that not a single one of these plasma blasts can critically injure Godzilla, Toothless would have realized that this is a lost cause and submit. As much as we hate seeing our favorite Night Fury be a subordinate, there just wouldn't be any other way against the King of Monsters. Today, the Night Fury deserves nothing less than a standing ovation for its bravery, courage, and audacity for standing up to the most powerful Alpha Titan of all time. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see more Monsterverse, How to Train Your Dragon, and more, subscribe, hit that like button, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Video looks like it's right, but it's also
I had a question I wanted to change your answer.
if you create Godzilla, you could literally have the depth.
And it looks like I lost that one. But I bet you I'll lose again on that one if I chose Toothless.
Why